What up? What up? What up, world? It's Classic Mike here, and this is the Get Right Fantasy Network. I just want to welcome everybody to our second mock of the year. Today is a very special one because we have a incredibly special guest tonight. You've heard his name 100 times in the show. You have seen his name forever in the comments. It is his very first podcast for this show. And it's also a debut for his new podcast. So please, let's introduce our good friend, Adam, right here. DemBoyz is here in the house. What's going
What's
on?
up? Man? How's it going?
Good, man. I am good. It's Friday night. We are here to do our Friday night mocks. So I'm excited to get going. We have a Superflex Dynasty startup mock that we're going to be doing today. So we got a bunch of people that we've seen before. We got people that we don't know, and we're going to have a good time regardless. Ross is going to be here in just a little bit. He's having some technical difficulties, but it's okay. We will get him in here. So let's just fire this thing up. Everybody is waiting. So let's get this started. All righty. So first and foremost, let's take a look at who we have in here. First, we got Tycoon, of course, joining us. We have BroCal back here again. We have NYG guy, Philsbury Throwboy. Love having him here. Always great. We got Ross in the 5 spot. We got Knee. Haha.
You got it right.
I got it right? So now make me, now trade with me. Damn it. We got Brandon in the house. I love it. We got Kevin Coleman, the one and only from Football Guys, in here drafting with us tonight. So I'm excited to have him here. We have, of course, Adam himself, or DemBoyz. I might as well just call you DemBoyz. In the 9 spot, we got JC, my buddy right there, in the 10 spot. We got myself at 11, and a new addition, the Rusty Shackle, which I'm glad to have here. So great to have you, Rusty. If you're in the chat, let us know so I can shout you out as we go. Yeah, and of course, I'm going to get an auto for the first time ever on our second podcast, which I'm very upset about. BroCal, I love you to death, bro, but this is killing me. And NYG guy,
where'd he go?
I don't know. I'm very upset right now. Very upset, but it's okay. Let's see who's in the chat. We got Brendan. Oh my God, I would have just put you right here in BroCal's spot if I didn't start and do this already. So I'm sorry. We got JC right there going, God, Mike looks so badass in that thumbnail. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thanks, man. My wife took that picture randomly. We were walking down the boardwalk in Atlantic City and just randomly took that picture. So we got Brandon. Yes, I will get you in there next week, my brother. Don't you worry about that. We got Martin in the house. This guy, what's up, man? How you doing, man? We got JC again going, Mike. That is a lot of Cowboys gear your guest is wearing. Well, yeah. That's his. I mean, come on now. This is DemBoyz. He can't not wear that type of stuff in this particular podcast. He's got to support his team. I mean, shoot. You know what? I'm going to take us out of this. I hate when I can't see my beautiful face or your beautiful face when I have comments up. So, I got my Giants gear in the background. Come on now. We represent our teams here.
There's no Dustin or Frank. I gotta
there you go.
I gotta come represent Dallas.
He definitely steps in when Dustin and Frank are in here. We got Martin going, did you randomize this? Of course, Martin. In all of our mocks, we make sure that we randomize 3 times. So if you ever want to be a part of our mocks and not be BroCal and NYG guy,
come on,
please just hit us up. I'm always available on Sleeper. So just make sure you guys reach out and we'll get you in. We've gotten Brandon, who just said right here that he's usually in. And yes, we always have him in here. So check it out. How does this look rigged? I'm in the end of this freaking draft. I'd rather be in the beginning. And then it's all good, man. So anyway, we were gonna have some
good spot.
Yeah, and we were talking about that before we joined on, and DemBoyz likes that like 9, 10, 11, 12 spot, like somewhere in there for these super flexes for the most part. I like to be
like
where
11, 12.
Okay. I like going where like Ross is, like where, or 6, 7. I like having a little bit more at the back end of these particular super flexes, so I can grab those particular guys. So one thing that we're going to be doing tonight on top of the mock, and for Adam's first time today, is we're going to be talking about players that we're looking to avoid in drafts, and it could be we can specify if it's going to be dynasty or redraft, for whatever we want to do here. But since we're talking about dynasty, a lot of these might be are probably going to be focused more on dynasty. So I'm going to start with Adam, and we're going to go with each position. We're going to go with QBs first. So Adam, what is one of your QBs that you're looking to avoid in drafts this year?
Ironically, Dak.
Oh, yeah.
I want no part of that offense this year.
Okay.
Schottenheimer scares me to death.
Okay.
He's like every offense he's ran has been like 20th or worst in total yards, total points, all of it. And yeah, I don't want any part of that offense in fantasy.
I don't blame you. I really don't. I'm kind of in the same boat with you. Dak has been underwhelming for me in the past. I just can't, for some reason, I just can't get behind him. I really can't. The offensive line for me has just, unless they build it, I mean, it's good when it needs to be, but at the same time, Zach Martin can't block everybody. Tyron Smith is getting beat up and his neck is killing him. I think they found a really good rookie on the left tackle. But
Tyler Smith, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like what he has going on there, but I hate picking this. But at the end of the day, man, I just don't like what they're doing here. My guy isn't surprising at all. Just because of who I am and what I am. I don't like Lamar Jackson, and it's mostly just for. I mean, it has a lot to do with this year and what's going on. I mean, we've seen that he's having this contract issue. We have no idea where he's going to be. He's wanting a ton of money when he really is. He might want a ton of money, but is he really worth the contract he's looking to do? He already dropped.
No.
The 3-year, $133 million contract that was fully guaranteed. It's one of those things where I'm not that guy. I haven't liked him to begin with. I think he's on a downward, type trajectory. He got to the mountain and then he's now falling from it and everyone's trying to chase that 2019. And it's great. He did great. He was a fantastic quarterback, and I can't say anything about it. Bad about it. But at the end of the day, I just don't trust my team to be, him being the linchpin for my particular team. Now this is I'm in a tough spot here because I have a choice between your guy and others. And I think I'm going to go with, I don't feel right. I'm picking a lot of guys I normally don't, pick. Like, I don't mind Deshaun Watson. I think he could have a better year this year. He's finally getting back into the swing of things. We'll see. So Adam, what's another quarterback that you're trying to avoid?
Any San Francisco quarterback.
Interesting.
Mainly because I have no clue who it's going to be.
Okay.
So Purdy, I don't know if he's going to be healthy to start the season. I really doubt it. Honestly, I doubt he'll be able to throw for the first month or two, at least. Lance, I don't really believe in yet. and Darnold's Darnold.
Serviceable.
Yes, but I like other parts of their offense, but I don't really want to take a QB from there.
Now,
and really just because I don't know which one to take.
And that's fair. I mean, I think that's very fair. They're both young. They're both, there's been all this talk about trades for, with Trey Lance in it. There's been a lot of conversation in general just because of his draft capital, because he's, they invested so much into him. So I completely understand that type of thought process when they didn't really put that much into Brock. I mean, he's Mr. Irrelevant. So, it's one of those things where it's really odd. So for me, if I'm gonna pick a guy from that group, I like Purdy better than Lance. If all were healthy and ready to go, Purdy. And then for me, it's Purdy, Darnold, and Lance in my order of picking guys, because I don't trust Trey Lance yet. I understand he's dynamic, he can run and all that stuff, but he looked inaccurate at times. He just didn't look right. I just don't like it. I don't want to invest either. I'm in the same boat. One of my guys was Trey Lance. I don't trust him at all. Now, can I see Sam Darnold running a Kyle Shanahan offense? Yeah. Because if Jimmy Garoppolo can do it, I feel like Sam Darnold can do it. And I think that it's one of those things where he can just hand the damn ball off. And that's all he's got to do is just give it to Christian McCaffrey and Debo, and you're good to go. I think
I think the offense will be successful. I want McCaffrey. I want Debo. Well, not really Debo. I
want Brandon. Yeah.
I want Kittle.
Oh, I love Kittle. Kittle, come join
Mitchell,
our show.
I think is going to be serviceable.
Yeah.
He got, as long as he's healthy, he
got
40% run when CMC was there.
Yeah.
So I think he's still going to get plenty. But I don't think any quarterback is going to break. I mean, maybe 15, 16 they could get to, but I think that's the ceiling for a San Francisco quarterback.
No,
for the quarterbacks they have.
No, completely agree. Agree. Another guy that I have listed, and of course, JC brought up the concept of me loving my statue quarterbacks. So I have to dump on my guys that can run, and one of those guys is Justin Fields. I just and you picked him up in your Dynasty startup, which I saw. I can't back him at all. I don't have anything that shows that he's going to do well. I mean, all I see is the stuff that I don't like. I mean, he had 1,800 passing yards last year. Yeah, he ran for 1,000 yards, but he needs to run for 1,000 yards and have as many rushing touchdowns every season just to do well. And unless they can change something about their offensive line, unless they can change something about their particular offense as a whole, I think that's where we're going to have an issue. I mean, they have Khalil Herbert. They have OntaForeman now to run the ball. Both are thumpers. Both just can carry the ball 20 times a game. And it just feels like that's what they're going to try to do. They're going to grab somebody in the draft at one point and make it, they're going to grab a lineman, interior line at either guard or center. And they're going to try to make it where they're going to just play freaking smash mouth, trenches football. And you know what? That's fantastic. I hope that's the case. But at the end of the day, you can't have Justin Fields running out there and trying to pass the ball accurately, because he was 32nd or 31st in completion percentage last year. Now, yes, he doesn't have a ton of talent. He finally gets DJ Moore in a trade. Fantastic. DJ Moore is a fantastic wide receiver. I like him a lot. The problem with DJ Moore with this particular quarterback is I don't see it. I don't see Fields making Moore better, or I don't see it.
I don't necessarily think Fields will make Moore better, but yeah. I do. I mean, we were having this conversation in the chat in our Dynasty League today, and I believe there's more to Fields than we've seen in the NFL.
Okay.
I've followed him since high school, and he can throw.
He can throw deep.
He's a great decision maker. And I think really it just has been more a matter of the coaches having a lack of faith in the O-line to protect him and his pass catchers to get open. So I think really he's been given the green light, like, hey, look at your first couple of reads, and if it's not there, go, because that's a better option for the offense than for him to stand back there and try to go through the progressions and probably just get sacked.
Yeah, understood. That's my thing, though. He took too long to go through his progressions, and he always had. He just didn't look good at all. Like, I didn't see anything that impressed me. There was no throw or situational, just situational thing that made me go, wow, like this guy is going to be freaking fantastic. Like, there's just no wow factor for me other than his running. Like, he is a fantastic runner. Yes, he is dynamic like Lamar. Unfortunately, with these running, a lot of the running quarterbacks, I mean, there's a few exceptions to the rule, but for these running quarterbacks, they're not as accurate. And it doesn't matter what weapons they have, because I'm going to just throw it out there and I'm going to say it. And I've been saying it from the beginning. Daniel Jones had not one weapon last year that was actually even close to being a relevant guy. They were having forced,
except for Saquon.
Well, Saquon dumping the ball comparatively, but I don't care. It's still nobody on that team was a viable receiver. He was fifth in completion percentage out of the league. He was just below, guys like Geno, and why not? Like, you can't use the excuse of my team doesn't have receivers, in my opinion, if that's where if you're going to use the two. Like, I'm not trying to compare Fields and Jones and Lamar and all that, because they're apples to oranges in this case. But I honestly can't. I just can't back these guys. I think they do too much of one thing. You have to be a good fantasy quarterback. You need to have balance. You need to have an ability to run when needed, and then to be able to throw the ball accurately and downfield. So that's where it is for me, because if you have to run for 1,000 yards to be a top 10 quarterback, there's an issue. And goddamn auto draft, I hate you so much, because you would never draft a third quarterback in the fourth round. And the quarterback that I wanted. Anyway, so let's move on from quarterbacks, because you have actually two other guys left, and we're going to talk about those two guys because both I agree with. So who's one of those guys?
Kyler.
Okay.
And he's an avoid, like, even in Dynasty. Like, this year, obviously, because of the injury, you're going to be lucky to get him for half the year. But yeah,
I don't think he plays. I
don't think Kyler is. I think he's got about 2 or 3 years left before the shiny new object wears off.
Okay.
And I don't know. I just don't think he's. I don't think he's big enough, really, to withstand full seasons in the NFL. I think he's got the talent, but I think physically he just isn't going to be able to hold up.
And see, that was one of the things about Kyler coming out of college, is that he was so good at avoiding that particular situation. Like, he was really good at avoiding contact. Like, he would slide early, or he would find a way out of it. But in this case, I have a hard time believing that he will be back at all with the way this team is going. I mean, news today came out, Budda Baker is looking for a trade. We all know that, DeAndre Hopkins is looking for a way out. So, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where you're in a situation where everybody seems to be leaving they're not doing anything to improve the team at all. Colt McCoy is their starting quarterback at this current moment. They let go of Stokely or I think, or McSorley. Sorry, McSorley.
Yeah.
And they're in a situation where you're like, what the hell are they doing? They're not improving their line. Ronnie Hudson just up and left. They re-signed Will Hernandez, which is okay. Take him. But what are they doing there? Zach Ertz is coming off an ACL injury that he's going to be coming back from. They do have Trey McBride, but they don't really have anything that wows me enough. And their defense looked really good last year. Like, I like their defense. It's fast. And the guy that came and it's the defensive coordinator for the Eagles, right? That came in. I forgot his name offhand. Or was it the offensive coordinator? Who went there? I forgot. I know it was one of the two.
I don't remember either.
Well, it doesn't matter. Either way, I don't see this guy fixing the team. They showed a really my buddy Kyle Letterman posted on Twitter a video of of the new head coach for the Cardinals saying hi to Budda Baker, and it was just so awkward. He was just making these like zoom, zoom, zoom. Like, come on, bro. Like, I get you, like, in you're 35 or 30. Okay, so it is the D coordinator. Thank you, Brandon. That's why I have Brandon here.
And I agree with that. I think they're doing it again. They've done it before. Yeah. They traded away a top pick to take Kyler. And I think they're doing it again. I think the lack of moves proves that. It's a whole new regime. I mean, Steve Keim's gone. Kingsbury's gone. Everyone that drafted Kyler is gone.
Yeah.
So I don't think he'll be there after next year. And I honestly don't know if they find much of a trade for him.
I don't think so either.
I think they're going to have to eat a lot of that contract in order to get a team to take him. They're going to have to pay 60-70% of that contract in order to get a team to trade for him.
I can see that.
And so I kind of feel bad for Caleb Williams if he ends up there too, because they're going to have all that dead money. They're not going to be able to invest in veterans around him. It's going to be rough.
Yeah.
For a while.
And that's the thing. It's like they're in a good spot right now where what are they? They got the third pick right now, and they're either looking to trade out of that pick and get as much draft capital as possible, or they're trying to I honestly don't know. Like, at this point they have no choice.
I think they should trade it. They need quantity of picks.
Oh, I agree. And here's Rafi's putting a great, idea or a great statement. I mean, Kyler just seems uncoachable and didn't even have a locker room either.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't have the locker room at all. I think a lot of people have said, and I've heard a lot of the Cardinals players or former Cardinals players that have played with him that say this guy, I think is Humphreys, the left tackle. He was saying he's got to man up. He's got to stop being a boy. Like,
I don't think he's a leader at all. I don't think anyone wants to play for him.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone really wants to play with him. I think that everything with the contract, with having the stipulations in there that he had to have study time and all of that, I don't think it was all smoke.
No, I think it was in there. Yeah.
It was put in there to try and be a wake-up call.
Yeah.
And I don't think he heeded it. And I don't think he's going to.
No. And it clearly showed that he had a rough time during the season, and you saw the decline just after. It's one of those. I was gonna say Brandon was like he said Rich Gannon. I'm like, Rich Gannon's a quarterback. So I don't think but it's Jonathan Gannon. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. It's one of those things where I don't see anything good coming from Kyler. Now, the other guy that
No.
you have, and I don't think he plays this year. I think that what they do is they get to a point where he might be able to, and then they're going to just be like, no, we're good. And then they're just going to either tank the rest of the year or move forward. And that kind of I'm not going to say that this segment is going to lead in that direction, but it might. So in this case, let's go on to your next guy. Your next guy is who?
Tua.
Ooh.
And really, it's just health.
Okay.
Like, concussions scare me more than anything, and his were bad. Like, I think Tua is underrated talent-wise. I think he's good. I think that he's capable, and the team around him is amazing. But I don't trust him to stay healthy.
Okay.
He's going to get hit. I mean, there's no way to avoid it. And I don't know. I think he shouldn't play anymore. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but
interesting.
Like, why risk it?
Yeah, he had 3
with as bad as those concussions were, and back to back to back.
Yeah,
like that's the stuff that they talk about that causes the long-term damage. Is when you get a concussion and then another one and then another one. It's that cumulative effect that is worse than, say, he had 3 over the span of 5 or 6 years.
No, I understand. And JC, I know you did it for that reason, and I knew what you were doing. I looked over, and I didn't want to give you the satisfaction of knowing that you were picking a guy that I should have probably went with. I'm mad at you, and you could probably snipe about 90% of my picks just from the concept of how much we talk. So, JC, I love him very much. Anyway. So I agree with you with Tua. I think he's at a point in his career that he's got to do one of 2 things: either try to find a way to make it better by new helmet, new something, whatever, or they need to build that line a little bit more. I mean, the line is pretty stout, in my opinion. They have a good, group around him. He has good offensive weapons to dump to, and so on and so forth. I don't think I'm avoiding him as much as these other guys. I think he's someone that I'm willing to pay less for at a value than I would. He went in our draft here. He went in the 4th round.
That's too high. I won't do it.
See, the fact that he went before Goff was a little bit like okay. If we're gonna talk about guys, we're gonna not, guys we're gonna avoid. I'm gonna at least throw in guys that I'm looking to get, and one of those guys, I don't care what format, I don't care where it is, it's Jared Goff. I love Jared Goff and his particular, potential for the next few years with this team and what they have going for them. I'm a big fan of Jared Goff, and I think that he can have a really good career with this team and what they put together for him. So, and that line too. I mean, if they keep that line solid, he'll be in good shape. I really do like what we have, or what they have going on over there. So let's move on to running backs, and we have, hey, I saw Russ go at the 2 at the 612, and that is freaking.
That's crazy.
I like it.
I'll take him there. I don't think Russ is done. No. I think that situation was horrible last year. Just the coaching staff situation and just all of it.
Sean Payton will change that.
And I have no reason to believe that Sean Payton's not going to be successful. I think he's going to be very successful there.
And that's my thing. I think that Russ this year will be a little bit different than last year. I mean, he played hurt throughout the year. He had torn everything, with one play. I mean, he had that issue a few years ago when he broke his thumb, and it was just like the whole season from that point on was just garbage. So I see something similar that kind of happened right here. So I definitely like the pick. where he got it. I mean, Tycoon did a great job waiting and was patient.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about him at that pick too, at where I got Kirk Cousins at 5'11".
I
I
thought
didn't.
about him when I took Kittle.
Yeah, I definitely thought about it at that point because I thought, why not? My team is basically the Grim Reapers. I should just change the team name to Grim Reaper because every single one of my guys is at the just after their prime, and if they keep going, that's great. But I got a bunch of old guys on my team. Brandon goes, can't wait for Goff to be replaced by Anthony Richardson. Yes, we've had this conversation, and we had Brandon on the show the other day, or last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever we had the show last. So glad to have him on and joining us tonight. But yeah, no, he's looking for Anthony Richardson to go to the Carolina Panthers. So I know you don't want that.
I think he's going to Carolina.
I know you're in that boat too. I remember you were saying that
when they traded for that pick.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be him. I still think it's going to be him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I jokingly said earlier that I think they'll bring Cam in as a bridge.
No,
I really don't, but I mean, it would make some sense. They wouldn't have to change the offense at all. The offense they would run with Cam easily could be ran with Richardson, and he could have a year to sit and really learn and work on mechanics and all of that. I mean, athletically, he's unreal. If they can just rein it in a little bit.
Yeah, I agree to a point. I mean, for me, I rather at this point, I agree that he needs to be behind somebody for maybe a year. The hard part is the capital that people have to waste on that. I mean, it's kind of like drafting Trey Lance in a way, because you're getting him so early, and then you're going to have to keep him behind somebody.
Yeah.
That's where the hard part is. A lot of these guys want to start him right away, and Carolina is not a place to just start him right away. I think that CJ Stroud is more capable of starting in that spot, or Bryce Young. Now, granted, I don't think either one of them is going to be. I don't think Young. I talked to Kyle, my buddy Kyle Letterman, who he's been saying it 100 times that at this point, the front office, I mean, they're like, they all want Bryce Young, but a few of them want, CJ Stroud. And it's one of those things where I think Stroud might be the better pick. I don't know why people they're not going to pick him. I think that he's better fit for that offense in general and what they have on that team. The wide receivers are perfect for him. I think that if they use some key pieces in the draft to add some depth at the O-line, I think it would be great. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. We got Brandon going. Does any of the other quarterbacks in this class give you any chance at top 5 play at the position? No. I don't think.
Not this year.
No, I think the first 3 guys are the only 2 that can give you any type of potential in, but I don't think that they are top 5 in fantasy in any shape, way, or form. They're going to be at the bottom.
Richardson could be. I don't think this year, but I do think his ceiling is top 5.
I think he has the best ceiling of them. Yes, I think that Stroud is the safe pick. I do think that Bryce Young might have a lower floor than most of these guys. I think Stroud is definitely the higher floor, but I think that Anthony Richardson is going to be a ceiling guy. That's my whole thing with him, is that it's so hard, for he's kind of, to me, he's like Gabe Davis in the context of how volatile he can be.
Oh yeah, I think he has the lowest floor and the highest ceiling.
Yeah,
and I think his floor is like, I don't know, 35 stories underground.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's
he could be an ultimate bust. He is the epitome of a boom bust pick. He has a unlimited ceiling and unlimited floor. Like,
and that scares the living shit out of me. I'm not one
yeah.
of those people. I stick with and as everybody knows, and I've said it 100 times on this channel, I stick with the guys that have consistent numbers that are going to be consistent and balanced. I understand upside. I get it. I'm not saying not go for it. For me, I'd rather have one or two of my positions be consistent so that I know what to do, like so that I can play. I'd rather have upside with a receiver or a running back that I can play with compared to a quarterback that I have no freaking clue what's going to happen. And the outcomes are ridiculous. JC's bringing up something. I was actually thinking about it. Rusty Shackle went with a 0 QB and I'm actually impressed. I like the team that he's building right now. For the most part, I don't agree with the JSN being that early at 3, but if he ends up being that good, I mean, hey, it really doesn't matter what I have to think. He's got a good running back core. I mean, he's definitely going run hard, which is great. I usually am that guy. Like, that's usually my team. But I learned my lesson doing a best ball draft where I was at the 12 and I didn't draft a quarterback in the first 3 rounds. And my QBs are CJ Stroud and Kenny Pickett. And I had no one else available. 18 quarterbacks went off the board in the first 3 rounds. So it was brutal. So yeah, we're not going to do that. All right, let's move on to running backs. We have 2 guys that we both agree on. So I'm going to start with those 2. So
all
we
right.
have, we're going to start with the 2 that I think these guys everyone should be avoiding. I don't care what format you're in. Well, for the most part, it's Joe Mixon and Alvin Kamara. I mean,
Yeah.
they're both going through their legal stuff. I think Mixon plays regardless, but I think that everything that's going on in his particular situation, if everything goes according to plan, he will have a chance to play. I think Kamara is the one that's not playing this year. So redraft, he's off.
I think
my
he'll
board.
play. I think Kamara plays, but so the last 2 years, he's had more rushes than he had any of the previous years. And his fantasy points per game, points per touch, all of it has gone down.
Yeah.
His touchdowns, he scored like 5 touchdowns in the past 2 seasons combined. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And that offense isn't getting much better. I mean, I do believe Carr is consistent quarterback play that's going to make a difference, but it's not going to help that offense that much. They're not going to score much.
No, they need to improve the line.
And yeah, the line's terrible.
Yeah.
Kamara is not the type of running back that should be a workhorse. He can hold up physically, but he's not that type of running back that needs to get into a rhythm to get better. He, you give him 15 to 18 quality touches a game, and it's probably better than force feeding him 25.
Yeah. I can agree with that. I mean, they did pick up Jamal Williams this year, so he'll be that thumper guy. They're going to probably use Kamara more as a passing down back, most likely, but I think they're going to rotate in and out. And Jamal Williams, you can say what you want about the guy, but the guy is a scrappy dude that I love that guy.
And everyone loves him.
Yeah, if you got 2 minutes to watch the Hard Knocks last year with him with the Lions, man, that guy he's just so passionate about the game of football. He was crying in the thing. I don't want to be last this year. Like he just wants it. Like I've never seen a player like that where like that emotional with just in a practice. They're not even in a game. And he's just like, I'm sick of this shit. Like And honestly, this Jamal Williams is probably one of my favorite guys. I've always wanted him to break out and be his own, RB1. And, when he got out of Green Bay, I was like, thank God he finally did. But then they never used him the way that they wanted to. I mean, to me, he was like Mike Tolbert and, getting out of the line or getting out of the shadow of LaDainian Tomlinson and becoming his own, or no, not him, Michael Turner. I apologize. When Michael Turner went to the Atlanta Falcons and just started killing it. I mean, that was like the ideal situation. I thought Jamal could at least do that at one point. But that didn't happen. But he did I mean, he led the league. He led the league in rushing touchdowns last year, so you can't really say shit about him. That's bad. I don't like Joe Mixon's situation. I do think he plays, but I think he's in a scenario where I do think that the Bengals go for a I do I'm sorry. I know I'm laughing, but so Brandon and JC, myself and Kevin are all in a group chat that we help each other with content creating. And also we talk a ton of football. And JC's probably favorite player, most likely he has his picture at home and looking at before bed, is Devin Akey. And Enke, sorry. So, I mean, A-Chain. Well, I probably got it wrong. It's fine. And JC's going to yell at me later. But he's infatuated with him. So, he's very upset with that pick. So this is what happens when you screw with me. Brandon will get you back. Anyway, so let's move on from those two guys. We both know their situations with legal issues. I think that's probably the biggest reason why we have them on that particular avoid list. The next guy we have, I'm going to hand it off to you. Who's one of your other guys that you have?
Dameon Pierce.
Interesting. Why?
I don't like the offense. Okay. I really think they'll try and draft a running back.
Okay.
Probably not super high, but I don't think he's going to get the numbers that he got last year. And I think all of his value is wrapped up in volume.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to get that volume. Because, I mean, he was not efficient. He was not an efficient runner at all. And I don't see that changing.
Okay.
I think he's the type that is going to need, like, the opposite of Kamara. He needs 25 touches a game.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't think he's going to get it. I could be wrong, but I don't think they're that committed to him. Okay. And
no, that's fair. I like him a little bit. I do think that offense changes a little bit. And that team in general. I mean, they're gonna want to take the pressure off whoever they pick at quarterback. They're gonna want to do whatever they can to not limit the touches for the quarterback, but more like they're gonna try to they're gonna want to take the pressure off. So I think they're going to try their best to build the line, the best they can during the draft, add really good key pieces to improve the line. The line did okay. I think Laramie Tunchel, he's a fantastic left tackle. I think they have a lot of pieces that could really make it work. So for me, it's one of those things where, they ended up bringing in Singletary. They picked up Dalton Schultz as well. They let go of Brandon Cooks to get the money out. I mean, honestly, he was eating up a lot of cap. I love Brandon Cooks, but I think that, he ended up hurting them more financially. It was just worth him getting out of there and going to the Cowboys. But, I love Nico Collins. He's one of my favorite picks. And I know that probably one of these guys.
I like him a lot. I like Nico Collins a lot.
They're gonna probably take him away from me at one point because that's just what they do.
And that's another thing too with, I think Singletary honestly,
I think it was
I
their
don't know.
best pick.
From what I've seen, I think he's a better runner than Pierce. And I think he might take that backfield.
I hope he does. I hope he does.
Then it's just awful for Pierce. Even a 50-50 split, like he's not going to get enough carries, even if they do that.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll even be that. I think he's going to end up being the 6 to 10 touches just to come in and spell Singletary.
Okay. No, and that's fair. I mean, that's definitely fair to think. I like both guys. I think they're both going to make that offense great. For fantasy, I think I like Singletary a little more because I think they're going to use him a little bit more in the passing game. He's very dynamic. I think he's good at catching the ball too. And he did very well in the role that he had with James Cook in Buffalo. I mean, you can say what you want about him, but I think the guy is I don't know. I just like the guy. I think that he can do really well moving forward. What was the other thing I was going to bring up? So my guy that I have next, and it kind of brings on the theme of what we were talking about before with the quarterbacks, and that's James Conner. I don't want anything to do at this point with the Arizona offense and the fact that they don't have any. It doesn't seem like they have any will to build this lineup to help James Conner. Now, the only argument against James Conner is the concept that he'll get volume, and that is true. He will be a volume king. There's no one else there to take away from him. So James Robinson, or not James Robinson. I just love James Robinson. Unfortunately, it failed. But James Conner, yes, he will be. It's all good, Rasta. I'm sorry, man. I know that you're a little upset. Buy new stuff. No, I'm only kidding. I know that he had a rough time. JC was saying that I butchered the name. Come on now. And you got it right. So what did you say that it was?
A-Chain.
A-Chain. Okay. Yeah, I butcher anything unless your name is Smith. You're lucky your name is Adam and not some crazy name that I can't pronounce. But yes, volume is the only argument against why I wouldn't want him. Otherwise, I think that in some ways he's a very low guy on the totem pole that I want in any shape, way, or form. So
see, and I'm not necessarily targeting Connor, but his stock has fallen so far. I will take him where he's going.
And that's where I was going to go with that.
I do believe that where he's going now, he's actually a high value pick.
Interesting. Yeah.
I don't think that he's going to be great and, probably won't even be a low end RB2. But I think when you can get him is like the running back 40 or later in drafts. I mean, like there is value there. He is going to get points. He is going to have a few good weeks. He is going to have a fairly high floor just because of the volume.
Fair.
And yeah, I mean, I'll take him as late as he's going.
No,
I definitely won't take him where he was going last year. And I loved him last year. I was taking him really high.
Yeah,
I'll take him in the 10th, 11th, 12th round. No problem.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. Like, if you're going to wait on him and he's available there after, he could be a good 0 RB candidate for teams that look to go that way. I'm just not. I want to stay. Yeah, see, Tycoon even took him. For me, I just don't feel comfortable taking anybody in this situation right now. Just because they're just, they got this horrible grade, and I know it's only a grade, and I know, so on and so forth. But honestly, that's a huge thing. They ask the players, they send the players that and ask them questions. That's part of the deal. That's part of their quality program. And to be honest, that's fantastic. Like,
I heard a interview that Chris Long just did with Steve Keim, and he asked him about the grade for the food and the weight room.
Yeah, what did
he say? He very tongue in cheek said it's functional. We go for functional.
See,
And so, I mean, even he was willing to admit that it wasn't anything special.
yeah,
You know?
well, that's a problem. If you want your team to perform at its best, why do other programs spend their money on great facilities and work, all that? There's a
Yeah,
reason for it, you know?
absolutely.
And that's where my issue is. But I love what the NFL did in that particular case, where they sent out, the questionnaires and stuff like that. That's part of their quality program, which is fantastic. I work in quality assurance myself, and to see them being able to do that and go out and do, get the players' opinions and see how they can improve and show the teams and make it public. Like the
Mhm.
public part might have been a little much, but you know what? It's now a thing. Like people don't want to be there, and it's evident. You can see it. It's something with
Yeah.
front office, has to do with something. So either way, it is what it is. We're gonna get off that real quick. My next guy I'm gonna say is I've never really been high on him, and a lot of people after free agency were just so high on the guy, and that's Rashad Penny. I mean, Rashad Penny is in a great situation going to the Philadelphia Eagles. The problem with his scenario is that there's a high probability that he might not be the only guy there anymore. And, Eagles might be going after, Robinson. There's a good probability they might have some investment somewhere down the line. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that are out there currently. Eckler's looking for a trade. Dalvin Cook is, maybe going to get cut at June 1st. You got Derrick Henry with trade rumors. There's so many things going on in the running back market that at this point, I mean, yeah, someone's going to come in there because you've had a history of, injuries where you've only played like 6 games in your career that you actually did well. And then you got hurt then you broke your leg.
Yeah.
So you're the Mr. Glass of the NFL. Why would you think that he would be that good going forward? Now, in that 6-game stretch, did he have a really good freaking sample size? Of course he did. He did fantastic. And now he's going with a line that's probably the best in football. Granted, they did lose a few pieces. So
He's got all the talent in the world, but the only thing he's proven is that he can't play a full season.
Yeah.
Like he never has. There's no
Yeah.
reason to believe he will. And Gainwell's good. Like he's not
I like Gainwell.
He's not going to lose touches to Penny.
No.
And he had a fairly significant role last year. If Penny stays healthy, he will get those goal line touches. He will get the volume, but I don't think he'll stay healthy. Like, oh man, you're supposed to come back to me.
Who, Lockett?
Yeah.
So I did that as a tribute to a very good friend a friend of mine that I like, Mr. Dave Klug. He was talking him up recently, and I had to go in. I mean, I'm already my team is already a win now team. It's not really a young team. So I just thought, why the hell not?
Well, and I mean, I already have Metcalf. I don't really need Lockett. It's just he's available this late. I mean, I get this is a dynasty startup and he's 30 years old, but like, come on. He's consistently every single year a top 15 wide receiver.
Yeah, and that's why I couldn't pass it up. Brandon going, wouldn't be shocked the Eagles draft a running back from this class as well as take touches from Penny. Yeah, I agree. I think that they're going to grab somebody somewhere, and it doesn't really matter. I think that they need somebody to be a part of it. They've always ran this team with 3 or 4 running backs. I mean, they have Gainwell. They re-signed Boston Scott, freaking giant killer. I hate that guy. And he's on my freaking dynasty team too, so it kind of hurts. Even it's like a double. But at the end of the day, they're going to want to rotate the running backs, and I think they've shown the concept of that's actually helpful. You rotate your defensive line, they stay healthy. Everyone, and everyone is in there all the time and a healthy defense and a healthy, team in general where you rotate, I honestly think that that's a good move on their part. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes as a whole. But either way, I do see good things moving forward.
Well, and Hurts led the league in goal-to-go rushing attempts last year.
True.
Above all running backs.
Yeah, he had like 12, right?
And he's not going to lose that, I don't think. I don't
see it happening.
Especially because I don't know why, but no team even proposed changing the rule about being able to push him in.
Oh, I absolutely hate that. I hate that rule that they don't have that there. Yeah. They need to put that. They need to institute that because honestly, it was ridiculous. Like I am all for the Tom Brady, 1 yard, 1 yard quarterback sneak or whatever. Or if you wanted to have Travis Kelce run in and quarterback sneak it, that's fine. But the concept that you're having your tight end run into the quarterback and push his ass 2 yards in is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, and there was actually one play in particular that I saw where Kelce never even let go of the ball.
Yes.
Kelce just held the ball up against his own ass and walked into the end zone.
Yeah.
He never even fully snapped it. So I mean, whatever, if you're allowed to do it, go ahead and do it. But
he had 13 rushing touchdowns last year. 13.
Yeah.
He had multiple games.
He had like 30 something goal to go attempts.
Oh yeah, for sure. He was one of the highest in that particular category. He had 1, 2, 3 altogether with multiple touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. Like the guy is, and that was just the rushing touchdown. That's not including what he did in passing touchdowns. I mean, he had 22 for 6 with 13 rushing touchdowns. I mean, that's absolutely insane. He had 760 rushing yards with only 165 attempts for him. So he leveled everything out, but that's the whole point I'm trying to make here. They balanced him out. Yeah, he ran the ball a ton at the goal line. That's fine. 1 yard runs to the goal line if he can do it. Fantastic. They did it with Kyler. That's something he can do. But at the end of the day, when you're throwing for 30 like all his stats just point up. Like even his rushing, it went down a little bit, but that's good. Like there's nothing bad about his stats in that particular situation for being a running quarterback.
There is a difference with what he's working with than what Lamar's ever worked with or what Fields has worked with. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. I mean,
oh yeah, they're way better than anything that Lamar has. Yeah, oh for sure.
That's arguably the best 3 pass catchers on a single team in the league.
Yeah,
I mean, there's others that can hold up to it, but
for sure.
I mean, any pro quarterback could throw for 3,000 yards throwing to those guys with that offensive line. I believe in Hurts.
Example.
I believe in Hurts. I think he's a great person, a great leader, a great player. I hate the fact that he plays for the Eagles.
Me too.
But
that's something we can agree on.
Yeah, he's really, really good. He's my number 2 ranked quarterback this year for fantasy.
Oh, interesting. He went
Dynasty and redraft.
That's fantastic.
I think and I would not be surprised if he finishes first.
Yeah, and that's a fair assessment. I mean, honestly, he's not someone that I fade a lot. I mean, I see his development being like Josh Allen in a way where he's trying to be a little bit more conscientious of what he does. When he has the opportunity to run, will he run? Yeah, of course. I mean, if you're in man coverage and you got everybody downfield and there's 15 yards just sitting there, then yeah, of course, I'm going to run the damn ball. But at the end of the day, he's worked on his passing mechanics. He looks a lot better. He looks a little bit more accurate than he did the season before. Yeah, I was knocking him a few years ago, but he looks good now. He's in an upward trajectory. I like what he has to do. I mean, I think that kind of I don't know how much I agree with the order of how everything is here, but of course it's hard to, put Mahomes or not have Mahomes where he is. But I kind of
he has to be first until he proves he's not.
Yeah. I mean, it's between him and Allen for me. Like, I've always been a fan of Allen, and I think Allen is, just always going to be in that conversation. So, the way that I mean, granted, these first two were autoed, which is fine, not really, but in this particular case, they with Hurts going 2 and Herbert going 3. I mean, ultimately, I think that it's more along the lines of Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, or Hurts, Allen, Hurts, Burrow, Herbert, Lawrence. I think is my grouping of top 6 guys. If you want to throw them in there,
I have it exactly like that, except Hurts and Allen swapped. I have Allen at 3, Hurts at 2.
Okay, and that's fair.
And everything else: Burrow 4, Herbert 5.
Yeah,
Lawrence 6.
Yeah, and Lawrence is.
And then I have Field 7 in Dynasty, where I took him.
Yeah, see, I would put him at 5. I'd put him probably around that too, just because of his age and where his trajectory and all that. For me, redraft, I have to put him in that freaking top 10 because of his rushing, and that's my problem with. That's the one thing I hate about rankings, is that I have to put these guys like Fields and Jackson in those particular situations, because putting them outside my top 10 in any shape, way, or form, one, I'd be crucified. 2, I would just I don't see Lamar being a top 10 guy. Like, for me, I don't even want him in my top 12. And you guys can rip me apart. I don't care. I don't see how it can work. All right, I'm gonna move on because I can talk about it forever. So we got Marty in the chat going, thoughts on Elijah Moore. So that's fine. I actually kind of curious about how you feel about this. So how do you feel about Elijah Moore?
I think he needed to go somewhere else, for one.
Okay, fair.
I don't think he was ever going to be successful in New York after everything that happened last year.
Yep. Agreed.
And I don't know that I necessarily think the Browns is the best spot for him.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. We really don't know what we're going to get from Deshaun.
I have a stronger feeling about Deshaun this year than I do in the past. He finally gets an opportunity to be a part of off-season workouts. He gets an opportunity to be a part of everything, and that's from last year. So it's one of those things where I am completely okay with drafting him, because I feel like they've done their due diligence to give him a team, like a really good group of guys. And I mean, he has a good group of pass catchers. I am very high on Amari Cooper. I like Cooper more than a lot of people. I got pissed off when he left the Cowboys, because I thought that was one of the dumbest moves you guys ever made, was getting rid of him. And I think
they didn't really have much of a choice in the matter, unfortunately, because they made stupid decisions on Zeke and Dak and Tyron Smith, and they had money tied up that they couldn't, unfortunately. They probably could have figured out a way to make it work, but
that's my thing, man.
Wouldn't.
I get it, but that's my thing. The whole situation just didn't smell right for me. They could have had a scenario where they could have kept Cooper if they did something else. You always have a choice. There is always a choice and a way to go about it. They chose poorly.
The only thing they could have done, I think, would have been stupider, and that was to extend Elliott.
But extending him would have done something where they could have gotten out of it in a year or two, instead of eating all the dead cap, or eating the dead cap of what they had on him. Like, that's my whole thing. Like, Amari Cooper, for that team was the wide receiver one. And you can sit here and yell at me forever. I know that we've had that.
Oh, he was the wide receiver one.
And
I agree with that.
And it's one of those things where they let go of their best player to do what? To say that, oh, Lamb is our guy, like we drafted him to be the one. No, he wasn't ready, and he still isn't. I know he did well, but that's a volume standpoint. He did well because where else are you going to throw the damn ball? And he was the only one healthy on the field. You extend Michael Gallup to a 5-year contract that you can't get out of for 3 years, and then you don't even throw to the damn guy. And then you got guys like Noah Brown, who you let go, you don't have anymore. You pick up guys like Cedric Wilson, who no one cares about. And it gets to the point where, why did you make these moves in the first place? And then you go grab a guy like Brandon Cooks, who I like the play. I like the reason that they did what they did, and you got him for nothing. So
yeah,
I like that what they did there. But Amari Cooper he's a young kid. He's still young as hell. He's still younger than Calvin Ridley.
27.
Yeah. And he still has a high trajectory. Now, yeah, his knock is that he gets hurt a little bit. Okay, fine. Who doesn't? And
he doesn't really miss games.
No, he plays through injury, and I've seen it. But his route running is incredible. He is probably one of the best route runners that I've seen in a long time. And my whole thing with him, like now that he's on the Browns, that he has the opportunity to do well in this group. I mean, I didn't get to get him. We'll see if he comes back, which now that I'm saying it doesn't really matter. But Donovan Peoples-Jones, I think, balled out last year near the end of the season and showed a lot with Deshaun Watson. I think that's going to be a good connection. David Njoku is going to do very well with that group. And I think Elijah Moore is going to add to that as well. David Bell didn't really develop the way that they wanted to. A lot of people were high at him. I was high at him too. I thought he would do well there. But unfortunately, I think that Elijah Moore is a little more polished, but he's the same type of guy to fill that role in the slot. So I really do think that in this particular case, I think Deshaun can have a really good season. I really do. I think that this team, the hard part for them is trying to find that number 2 running back, unless they're going to run with Chubb the whole time. They let go of Dearness Johnson. They let go of Kareem Hunt. They haven't re-signed him yet. Doesn't mean that they won't, but I don't see them re-signing him. So what do they do? Do they pick someone up in the draft? Do they go a different route? Like, to me, it's one of those things where I think the team is in a good position moving forward. So I just think that can only help Deshaun. So that's all. So let's get to your final running back. We didn't get to talk about it, but who's your last running back that you're looking to avoid?
Oh, Breece Hall.
Breece Hall. And I'm assuming it's the ACL.
Yeah, and this is in Dynasty, I still want him, but I do not want him where he's going in redraft.
Yeah, he's
still being drafted high. I just don't want him at his price. I think he's worth taking a shot on.
Okay.
And I think probably come playoffs, fantasy playoffs, he should be hitting full stride.
Okay.
And probably will be helpful. But I can't have a guy on my bench. I can't pick him in second, third round. Who's going to be on my bench most of the year.
I can agree with that. I mean, any running back that's coming off an ACL tear, it doesn't matter where in the season. I mean, he tore his week 4 or 5. He's going to be coming back I wouldn't say slightly early, but around an earlier part. And
he might start week 1. I just don't think he's going to be full speed until week 10.
Yeah,
11, and 12.
And I agree. And that's where I'm kind of out on him at this point, where I agree with you. I can't buy him at his price. So for me, I'm avoiding him because there's no point in drafting him that high. So we got Marty asking in the chat. He goes, "Would you rather have Zeke or Lenny on your dynasty team?" That's a great question.
Zeke.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with
because he's
that.
still at least looked like an NFL running back last year.
Yeah, and he
I
finished.
mean, he's not. Fournette looked bad.
He did.
Like, he really did. He had no explosiveness. Like, he just looked bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but something happened.
And I think it's also age. I wouldn't say age too, but I mean, Zeke is 27 and Fournette's going to be 28 or is 28. So for me, it's one of those scenarios where, yeah, youth is kind of the next thing. I mean, once you hit that, 27, 28 gap for the running back, I want to try to find my way out the door.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's based on how well they do. Zeke was arguably still really good last year. I think he finished. What did he finish? He finished like top 15, if memory served me. So I mean, he did fairly well last year.
In PPR, he was 22.
Okay, so
in standard he was 17, but still, he's an RB2.
Yeah, and that's a good value of where I can see him. Is he's a better RB2. Based on where he goes. I mean, we don't even know where he's going to go yet. We don't know what team is looking for certain guys or where he might go. Buffalo might be a place. The Bengals, I think, might be an option. Those are the teams that might be, those competitors that need that little bit, but Zeke still has a little bit left. That knee injury, that PCL injury is what killed him. That's what's really hurt him. So, I like Zeke a little more. I think Leonard Fournette is kind of slowly deteriorating to the point where, he's just run the ball too hard. And
I think he quickly deteriorated.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
He fell off a cliff.
And he's
one of those guys that hit that age wall and was done.
Yeah. And
it came out of nowhere.
And that's sad. I really liked him a lot. I thought that he had a lot of promise coming out of college. I really, his draft capital was incredibly high, which, it is what it is in that case. But at the end of the day, he was a really solid running back that was productive. So I don't know, man. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. I don't know who to go here. This is such a horrible pick. There's no one here. I'm just gonna do what I feel. What's in my gut. I love James.
Well, and that's why I took Brown. He's actually one of my the two rookie running backs that I took here. Are the two that I'm targeting this year.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, of course, everyone wants Bijan.
Yeah. Well, you gotta get your mind out of the Bijan, type thing. Like, go somewhere. We gotta think of other guys
but beyond him, those are the two that I want, especially because you can get them for
nothing,
basically free.
Yeah.
Even in rookie drafts.
No, that's fair.
You can get them super late, and they look good.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna. I think they're going to be used wherever they go.
Let's see if you actually work.
Can you hear me?
Oh, look at that. We can hear them.
It only took me the whole show, guys. It only took me the whole show.
The whole show.
Literally, as soon as the last draft pick comes on, I say the first words of the show. Which, Mr. Irrelevant in this draft, don't sleep on that man right there. Justin Ross.
Man.
If he can get healthy.
6'4",
that guy,
speed, hands. Ooh, ooh.
Hey man,
so
I like him.
Yeah, he's a target for me for sure. I was listening to you guys the whole time. I threw a couple comments in there as I was cursing out my computer over here. Good show, man. Good show.
Yes,
great to have you on here, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're excited to have him a part of the Get Right Network with his Deadzone Fantasy Show. I'm excited for this. We're going to have Adam talk about his show right before we get out of here. We have Rafi with a question. We got Kirk or Ridley this year?
Kirk.
What about you, Rasta?
Depends what you're looking for. Both you're getting pretty good value, but with both those guys right now, I think they're kind of both hurting each other's value at the moment because no one's quite sure. I think the fact that Kirk's going to stay in the slot, he should see 100 plus targets still. And then you're looking for more efficiency, with T-Law this year. Adam, you and I've had this conversation already through our buddy ball draft that we're doing. So I honestly, to me, it's just whichever one I think you can get later. As long as you can get a piece of one of those guys, I think is good. Neither one or anyone I'm like going out of my way to target, like as far as reaching or not. But I mean, if Ridley's anywhere near the guy he was when we last seen him on the field, he's definitely worth the value you're getting for him. And again, if Kirk even regresses by 10, 20% this year, he should still be return good value for you as well. So especially again, with the growth of T-Law, you expect more there. Jacksonville's team, I'm actually don't mind having players on these last couple of years. So it's kind of weird to actually be looking at Jacksonville players on your fantasy team.
Yeah, I
They're
mean,
going to score a lot this year. They're going to score a lot of points, I think.
Yeah,
I do too. I mean, right now, if you look at our board, we have Christian Kirk going in the 7th round. We have Calvin Ridley going in the 9th, both to Pillsbury Throwboy. So
he could make up his mind.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, I personally would rather go with Kirk. But I understand people that go for Ridley. I mean, I'm not going to not try to get him in leagues that I'm in. I think that he could do well moving forward if everything works out the way we think will. Like we talked about with Trevor Lawrence in general, with any progression with him, it's only been positive. I mean, he's shown that he can play in this league if you give him the tools, give him the coaching, and that's what he has. I mean, clearly with Doug Peterson, I mean, he's been doing fantastic this year or this past year with this team. I mean, you see the dramatic difference from Urban Meyer, which is crazy to think. I mean, they
actually exciting to watch.
Yeah, well, beyond being exciting, I mean, they just.
And he's going to be sporting number 0 next year.
Oh, don't
NFL approved. Let's go.
I hate this. It don't matter. Who cares? Like, it's a fucking number.
It's just cool. I mean, they change the numbers, and it's going to be first time. I didn't even realize they didn't allow number 0 in the NFL. You see it in NBA all the time, but
I hated the concept that they changed.
Of course, that's why you're classic Mike. Of course, that's why you hate it, man.
But
just let the guy wear his number.
I hated it more because of the concept that they had the jersey numbers arranged a certain way for a reason.
Yeah, for a position.
Well,
then they ran out of numbers.
No, it was also for the referees because then they were able to understand when there was a situation, they could go, oh, it's 90. Oh, that's a D end. And then they can actually, whatever number it was, when they pull the flags, they know who the hell is getting the fucking flag. And that's the problem. So I don't know.
Hey, mark that down for your notebook there, Adam. That's the one already.
The first one.
First one of the show, right?
No, it's probably
I get one out of Mike. Oh, okay. I was like, I definitely get those out of you. It's good to talk to you here, Mike. See, I'm going through all the I just started the show. I know you guys are ready to end, but I'm like all excited. I'm like, I finally got set up
for another hour.
I'm like, I'm good to go. No, I'm definitely ready to go after this, but I'm excited to know I got it all worked out for next week. So
there you go. So
that'll be good.
Marty asked another question. He's like, he asked,
what's up, Marty?
Should I be looking for at the 110 spot in a rookie draft, hoping that Addison is there in his opinion. So we didn't do a rookie draft today, so I'm not 100% sure. I got guys that are in this, in this draft that are a lot better to tell you and are probably, hopefully, still listening. Guys like Brandon, JC, they would be probably the best guys to ask in that particular situation. I'm assuming that Addison would be, that Addison, Flowers, I can't pronounce his name to save my life. Goddamn. I'm trying to look for him. I'm gonna pop him up.
Charbonnet.
There we go. Charbonnet.
He's like the RB2 or 3, right?
Yeah, he might be available in It's based on what type of draft. I mean, if it's super flex, he could be available. 1 QB is probably not. But
yeah, probably not in 1
I'd
QB.
say him, Quentin Johnson, there's a probability. I'm not saying that he will, but it's also based on where he lands. Josh Downs is probably a guy that's going to be available.
I'd rather have Hyatt than Downs.
That was going to be another guy that I brought up, Hyatt. So, Hyatt went a little bit less or a little bit lower. He reminds me a little bit of Devontae Smith in the context of size. I like my guys in the second, third round or the second rounds, like Cedric Tillman. I like him a lot. I think he's the only guy that's actually built well for this particular draft class. I really do think that this draft class is quite
super small.
Yeah, just small. I think small
running
is the best
backs
answer.
And receivers.
Yeah.
Overall.
And the running backs as a whole aren't that small for a lot of them. But for me, I'm not a big fan of this group of their size, which it leads to other things down the road. Marty goes, I'm surprised Richardson went first in this mock. Yeah, he was the first QB off the board.
I was happy because I was able to get Bryce right there instead.
Yeah.
I was really happy with my first 5 picks, but then I started getting frustrated. And then I went Derrick Henry, and then I just kind of lost it right there in those middle rounds, especially with the Dotson pick. But I felt like I recovered after that pretty well.
So let's take. We were going to go through our wide receivers to who to avoid, but that's going to take us another hour. So we
can save it for the next draft.
We can save it for the next one. I'm just going to read off my guys because I don't really care. I don't have to go into detail. For me, it's Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, and Rashad Bateman. Just a couple of.
I agree with 2 out of those 3. I'd still take a shot on Wilson, especially if Aaron Rodgers
is there. It's based on the value and it's based on the quarterback. But that's my whole thing. It's really based on.
Well, it's going to be Wilson or Watson. Like depending on where Aaron Rodgers go, I'm crossing whoever one doesn't get Rodgers.
Well, and that's kind of where I'm going.
I'm definitely staying away from Bateman. Unless, of course, Lamar ends up playing. But even if he plays, I'm
still staying away from.
That's Bateman. A whole different show. I'm staying away from all Ravens this year.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of where I'm going. Is that for those picks, it's really based on where is Rodgers going, but it's really we don't know yet. There's no definitive answer. So for me, Rodgers isn't anywhere. He's currently in limbo. So for me, I can't say definitively which one I want. If Rodgers leaves, I don't like Watson. If Rodgers comes to the Jets, then yeah, Garrett Wilson's fine. But if Garrett Wilson doesn't get Rodgers, now you got to remember that this is all like hearsay and no one knows anything. Even Rodgers has said, yeah, I intend to play for the Jets. That's fine and dandy, but we don't know for sure. And he can't go anywhere because the rights are still with the Green Bay Packers. So he's currently a Green Bay Packer until further notice. So we have to kind of, view it that way for now.
All right.
So let's take an opportunity to look at the draft board real quick. Remember, this is a Dynasty startup. So take a look at it. Take a few seconds to yourselves to kind of pick your favorite team out of here. Of course, not your own, but any other team that you can see on here that you really like. I'm going to just take a few minutes to shout out to a couple of our affiliate groups and, guys that are a part of the show. We got the Check Down podcast. Make sure you guys check them out. They're not going right now, but normally when they get going back up, they're going to be up on Wednesdays. So make sure you guys check out Cody McGoats and the crew over at the Get Right, the Check Down podcast. Make sure you guys check out Colin at WAGMI Fantasy as well. He has his Twitter, YouTube, you name it. His website as well. He's got a little bit of everything in there. Great. The
Winning with WAGMI newsletter. Don't forget. Sign up for
I
it.
never forget that. I have it and I get it every week. So make sure you guys follow that and get that email. It's fantastic. He goes into MLB as well. So if you're, right now and the fact that we have baseball going on, check him out. Also check out AJ and Tim over at the Fantasy Frontline podcast as well.
They're throwing up their Dynasty content right now.
That's right.
Go subscribe.
He had a show the other day, so make sure you guys check them out. And also, I'm gonna do it anyway because
Let's
we have
go. I
him
want to
here.
see it.
Look at it, the Deadzone
Yeah.
Fantasy Show. Make sure you guys check out Adam at his YouTube. I have everything in the description for him. He also has his Twitter set up as well. So make sure you guys follow him on Twitter and make sure you guys subscribe to him on YouTube. So we got all that out of the way. I gave you guys a few minutes to take a look at these teams. So what teams are you liking in this group? Let's start with Rasta because you haven't had a minute to speak.
All right. I want to point out two here, of course, besides my own. Tycoon and Nick, man. Knee over here in the 6th spot. I kind of just like what they did. For me in Dynasty, I like building around my wide receivers and my quarterbacks. I like the wide receiver build that Tycoon kind of did here. But I really like a lot of the players that Nick had, specifically, like the actual players themselves, more so than the build. And I mean, again, just without going like super crazy into it, that's just what I like to see. My overall thoughts in Dynasty, I like building around those wide receivers because some of those guys are, scoring more than the bottom, third of the quarterbacks anyway. So, longevity is longer. Obviously, question marks can still come, but just the way the NFL is going with these running backs just being chewed up and spit out, I prefer to just kind of wait. As you guys saw, I didn't take my first running back until round 6 and still got Derrick Henry. So, to me, that's what it's about in your Dynasty startup. Like, you're not really trying to – a lot of people get confused. Like, you have to understand what you're trying to do in a Dynasty startup. Like, are you going for a first-year struggle? Like I did in our, Get Right Dynasty, where I literally did my picks but sold them all off and, chose the 2023, draft back in 21 when we first drafted that team. And you just have to kind of, my name's trust the process in there. So it's, you just got to understand what you're doing. I think a lot of people end up having builds. They want to get young guys and do this, but they're not quite sure exactly what they're doing. And then you got other people, in and around them that, know what they're doing. And they're going to just be able to capitalize. The worst thing that can happen in Dynasty is you draft and you're like 4 through 8. That's like the worst. So you either want to be first or last in Dynasty, and that's just my 2 cents to kick off the season. So I'll turn over to you guys. What do you think?
What about you, Adam?
Honestly, I don't like any of them. Even mine. I don't even like my team.
Dynasty startups are kind of like that.
I don't like the way this draft went overall. Like, there's just
the 2 auto picks kind of messed it up a little
bit.
It did.
And I mean, everyone has major holes at the top end.
Except for me, of course.
I mean, I
don't know about that.
You have Henry, but
yeah, we could. Yeah.
I really guess Tycoon's probably the closest to what I would like to be in a build. I think he might have waited a little too long to hit those running backs.
I agree.
But also we had Rusty Shackle over there taking them all, and Brocal on the auto taking them all early on, and NYG guy too. So I don't know that I'd necessarily have done it different in his spot.
Okay.
This draft fell really weird.
It did. And like we said, that was the auto, and we apologize. And I will sit here and sulk because of the concept of how much I hate. And for any of those guys that watch this from
and those are
one,
ambassadors and OGs too. So it's not even it's not even like it's a newbie that did that to us. So
no.
We'll talk to them.
And I think that's a little bit more. Because we ended up leaving this open at one point, and we had NYG guy jump in about 2 hours ago, and he was very happy to get in.
Probably fell asleep,
and I can understand that because he's out here and it's 1:35 at night.
Oh, we got to wrap this up. Wrap it up, B.
No, we will. So
wrap it up.
For me, I will say for this, I'm gonna have to give. I see that my buddy, I got to roast the team real quick. and that's my good buddy over here, JC Dynasty, just deciding to go with the no running back at all and go with the OntaForeman at the very, very end. What were you doing? Were you just trying to snipe people just for fun?
Like 4 tight ends.
Yeah, what's up with all the tight ends? That's what I was wondering.
I don't know. You know what?
Happens.
It happens. But either way, it's kind of funny. Team that I really like. I don't mind. I don't mind Ross's team. There are a few pieces that I don't like on your team, but that's just me, and just it's more a comfort thing. I would have probably went with Pollard at the. Jameson
I knew you were going to hit it. I was going to say you like my first 4. It's the Jameson Williams pick. We've had a conversation on that.
We've had many conversations about it, and I'm just it is what it is, and
it's a
honestly,
new year.
No, it's not going to.
You were right last year. It's a new year now.
but that's my whole point here. Like I rather have gone probably with Tony Pollard there, and then maybe something like DJ Moore or even Christian Kirk or Ayuk at that particular Henry spot. I would have gone. The Goddard pick's fine. I like Jawan Dotson. I think he's going to do great. I don't really like the Brandon Robinson pick, but it's here nor there. At that point, it doesn't really matter. I think Brandon Robinson or Dalvin Cook would have been a really good spot for that particular situation. What was he saying? Draft for value in April, gentlemen, not rolling a team out for another 5 months.
Yeah, and there'd be like 15 more picks still to come. So in a dynasty startup. So this is just a snapshot.
Yeah,
he could have rolled off 5 more running backs and 16 through 20.
He's not wrong. I'm laughing anytime I hear it's 5 months from now. I just laugh because that's what I keep hearing from all the guys in my other dynasty league that I just can't stand, and they all know who they are. So other than
roast them.
But otherwise, I like the team that you had, Ross. I like Cortland Sutton, Mike Williams in that. You got him real late for that value. Why not? Yeah. I do like I can't say his name to save my freaking life. Abanika. There we go. I like
Canada.
I like him a lot. I think he can do well. So getting him that late was actually good. Baker, I like. I know that it's a tough pick, but I like him there. I do like the Damian Harris pick. I like this team as a whole. So if you had like
I think if you went Pollard where Williams was and DJ Moore where Henry was, this is my favorite team, definitely.
Yeah, and that's where my whole scenario was. Like, I'm not going to knock you for those 2 picks because I would have gone one way, you would have gone another. So honestly, I don't disagree with that. So for me, but I do agree that it should have been like Pollard and DJ Moore. But that's just a feeling pick. I didn't mind my team, even though
I'll take Williams and Henry over Pollard and DJ Moore for the next 2 years.
No,
for sure,
and that's fine. Williams.
I'll put a gentleman's bet on that. Let's go, Mike.
We'll talk about that later. But overall, I mean, I can't really find a team other than yours that I really, 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 was like I fell in love with.
It's like riding a bike.
I like my team. Oh, of course. I like my team, but I'm always going to say I like my team.
I couldn't believe you picked CMC. I almost fell out of my chair.
I picked him because my biggest knock on him was his injuries, and he didn't have an injury last year. And it was because they only ran him 65% of the time instead of 100. And I've seen the change in what they do in that offense. So if they're going to run him 65 times to have him be as productive as him running it 100, I am completely fine with picking CMC. That's my whole point. I'd rather go with something like that. But that's the change in philosophy. When you're the main guy like that, it puts so much pressure on him. I mean, he could only put 10 up on the bench. You put too much on him, he ain't gonna lift it. So he's a very good running back and he's very talented, but you can't have him out there over.
Just needs to be efficient.
Exactly, and efficiency in this case, we want quality. Like I
Efficiency
said
and
before.
volume.
So I like where he went. I think we already talked about Deshaun Watson. I think he's going to have a good season and do what he can. Oh, look at this. Jonathan Smith up. What up? What up? It's weird that I'd rather have Allen than Hurts, or am I just hating? I don't think you're hating. We had this conversation a little while ago. I think you could do good with either or. It wouldn't really matter. I think they're both kind of comparable in a lot of ways. I ended up picking the oldest team here probably, with some youth
Classic.
sprinkled in, but it's like a classic group. Yeah. But I have a
Classic
high
draft.
ceiling. I have a high ceiling guy with Deshaun Watson. I have my low floor guy with, Kirk Cousins. I like that. I like my reception guys here with Diggs and Cup and Deontay. My late Tyler Lockett pick. Like I thought I did.
It's a win now build. It's a win now build.
Oh, it's definitely a win now build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're screwed in 2 years. But hey,
Yeah.
you got 2 championships. It's worth it. All right, well, let's wrap this thing up, man. Let's get out of here.
So let's wrap it up. We already went through our particular affiliates. Also want to just take 2 seconds to recognize some of
Screen
our
the guy.
promoters. Huh?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
No, I didn't know you did that already.
No, I didn't do that yet. So I wanted to at least promote our stuff. So make sure you guys check out TrophySmack.com. When you do that, you make sure you guys are using the promo code Get Right. You can this is the perfect time of year to start working on your trophies and things like that. If you don't have them already, to get them ready for next year, you got things like your belt, you got the chain, you got the trophy itself, which is one of their best sellers on top of the belt. And then you got the ring.
The rings.
Oh,
I want that ring.
Yeah.
That's what we're getting for the Dynasty League this year for sure.
Oh, nice. So either way,
it's going to be part of it this year.
Make sure you guys.
It's only $12 a person. Or it is even cheaper, wasn't it? It was like $9 for a ring.
I think is what we figured.
Oh yeah, it was like $7 for 12 person league. It's an extra $7 on your buy-in.
And it's free when you buy the belt. So we might as well do both.
What? You get a free ring with a belt? That's even better promo. Let's go, classic.
Anyway,
I like it. Good read.
So also make sure you guys check out Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you guys use the promo code Get Right when you guys register. It is starting to spread like wildfire. I know it isn't in Washington yet, but it will get there soon.
Best ball mania. Let's go.
Ball, we got everything going on.
Bigger
right now.
Prizes.
And for the next 6-7 months, or for the next 5 months, best ball is going to be out of control. A lot of ways I'd rather do that than this, but it is what it is. Money is money. But if we can get people in here, I want it. We're going to be doing Friday Night Mocks starting a little bit after, probably the week after the NFL draft, right? We're going to start doing it right after that. So make sure you guys follow us on Twitter. Make sure you guys keep an eye out on both of our Twitters. We will make sure to be posting content as we go. Oh my God, it's Drunk Squidward. What
Squidward?
So what Squidward, actually, we just said it. We're going to wait until just after the NFL draft. NFL draft is in 2 weeks. It will be Thursday and Friday, and I think Saturday. So once that's done, we will be back here and mocking every week, every Friday. We will be back on our grind. I'm probably going to miss the next one just because I have stuff going on at home that I got to take care of.
You got a life, Mike?
I have a life.
Damn.
Believe it or not.
That's sad.
So I might not be able to make next week, but we'll make sure or 2 weeks from now, but we'll definitely have somebody here regardless, because we want to get these mocks out ASAP so we can get going. We're going to have our same stuff we did last year with the mock
Tournament of Champions. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to have it all.
And then a little announcement, there might be a little sponsorship in the works for that tournament too. Maybe a little bigger and better prize. So tell your friends.
Yes. So we're going to leave that cliffhanger for you guys to think about what it might be. Also, we're going to give Adam a few seconds of airtime for himself to talk about what he's going to be talking about in his podcast. So, Adam, the floor is yours.
Do it. Then we'll get to Squidward's
What up?
question.
So, yeah, Deadzone Fantasy Show. Plan to launch in like July. I'll probably jump on here a couple times for couple mocks in between then, but gonna focus on the later rounds of drafts, those guys that are probably gonna be on your bench a lot of the season, trying to get into that last flex spot. That's what I'm gonna focus on during draft season, and then during the season, gonna do a lot of looking into matchups and analytics to try and predict those guys that are going to have the big weeks, who normally wouldn't. I believe that's what really wins seasons for you, is finding those guys. We all know who the studs are. Every show focuses on the studs. I want to find out who the 30 to 40 ranked players at their position are that are going to be usable and are going to win you weeks. So
Love it.
That's the plan.
I love it, man. I love it. I love it. And that's why I love what we did with your logo and how we got it to go to that. I think it's a perfect way to go about it. I really do. So if
you navigate that dead zone, man, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So what did Drunk want to ask? He's got so he's got the 202 or the 206 and James Robinson and the 306.
202 or 206 and James Robinson and 306.
So 3 for 1?
I take the 3 for 1.
I take
4
my
spots
chances.
Isn't that much to lose at that point.
Yeah.
If it was 102 to 106,
that's a whole
different story.
I wouldn't even have James Robinson in the equation.
Yeah, he's just another piece. I mean, he's a little bit of depth there in New England. He might get something.
He's in New England now?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know that?
Wow. No, I didn't know that. I haven't been following him because I don't really care.
He's going to be there splitting with, he's going to be the new Harris to Stevenson. So there's some value in that. There's some value there.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd rather have him. It's still a piece. You can put him in a trade later.
That's fair.
But yeah, I don't mind it. Oh, look at the shout out to the Gallup jersey there, Adam.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's what's up.
Really, it's
all right.
Number.
There it is. Oh, okay. Even better then.
I'm going to attempt at some point in time to have an entire wide receiver core on a team that is all number 13.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I like
if I can actually draft that and see if I can make it work.
Is Mike Evans 13?
Mike Evans is 13. Yeah.
All right. I'm trying to pop in my head who's all 13. Oh yeah, Mike Thomas is 13.
Who else is 13?
I should know this. Gabe Davis, who I don't really.
Oh yeah, that's the first one that actually popped in my head.
Yeah, you're right. Gabe Davis.
He was once upon a time I targeted, but
friend of the show last year.
Yeah, upset that we didn't get him on. Yeah, I can't think of anyone else. I'm looking hard at everything. Yeah, Bateman, I think is 12. Ayuk is 11.
Yeah, Ayuk's 11. Interesting. That's a good one.
No, that's a good one. We're gonna might
have to turn that into a little trivia question or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Give a spot away in the listener league or something with that. Yeah, we'll be here for you, Squidward, for your drunken times.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, let's wrap this thing up. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, no, we're gonna wrap it up. So, thank you, Adam, for coming. We really do appreciate you coming on here. We hope and want anything you guys need. Let us know. We'll definitely hop on there if we have the time. We definitely appreciate everybody that helped out tonight. Thanks to everybody in the mock that we had. Screw BroCal and NYG guy. I'm sorry, guys. Next time, please be there. We will discuss it with you next time. But thank you for everybody else that joined in the mock. Thank you.
They're ambassadors. They know better.
Yeah, well,
they're the ones who usually kick people out and replace themselves.
Yeah.
We're the ones that this time.
We're the ones that call them in. So
it's all good.
We
still love you guys.
Yeah, it's a thing. Otherwise, thanks, guys. We really appreciate everything. We will see you in a few weeks. Have a great weekend.
All right.
Peace out.
Peace.